our next game, which is Next in Line versus Jokers.
Yep, next game, obviously a few familiar faces when we go in towards this one as well. Hazza, I believe we are going to get the likes of Bully as well, so that'll be one to be watching out for on the side of Jokers.
Certainly will be. Comet as well,
Yes.
sort of, I don't really know what you would call them, an armrest of the scene almost, right?
Yeah.
A backbone, a pillar of the UK esports community, so nice to have them in the server as well. It's a real mixture. They've got so many IGLs in this Jokers roster, and they were laughing about it themselves as well.
Yeah.
You got Azzy from former Into the Breach, was playing their last split, Project V in DAC. You know, Next in Line is a bit of a mixture of different players as well.
Yeah, exactly. I believe I don't know if it's changed. I believe Rossi was meant to be playing on Next in Line. I don't know if he's changed off. So that's a big player as well to be looking out for.
Certainly is. I mean, you have quite a few players from across the board. I think a main core to be looking at for Jokers, though, would probably be Rewind and Halsey, both coming from Playwell last time around. And I think in this new roster, there's certainly plenty of potential for them to do better than they did last time. I guess the expectations are fairly low in that regard because they did severely underperform, at least of what we expected of them then. So we'll have to see how this roster fares. But then, on Next in Line, I'm seeing a few more of the players come into the server now as well. You've got Rudy, who was on K10, plagued with hopping into a roster and then them immediately disbanding. So hopefully this one will stick for him.
Yeah, exactly. No Rossi is what I was trying to congeal, trying to cook me. But this is why we don't let me cook.
Yeah, exactly.
So the rest, they are Pika and Jaiko.
Yeah, no, so some familiar names around the scene,
100%.
right? But when you are looking at that Jokers team, there are, quite a few community figures, I guess you could say, in terms of who they are comprised out of. They have the experience there as well. Bully, I think, has to be one to look out for. Like you mentioned, one of the first players that you mentioned from that old E-Masters roster that made Div 1 for the previous Beacon finals. They had 2 opportunities to qualify. We won't delve into it too much, but I think Bully was fairly self-critical of his performance there. So this is a fantastic opportunity to step back up onto the LAN stage, prove his capability. I mean, at such a young age as well.
Yeah, I mean, Bully was probably one of the top players on E-Masters last split. As you said, maybe a little bit too self-critical, but again, at the same time, it doesn't matter now. That split has been and gone. We are now focusing on this split. And again, as we were kind of trying to emphasise in that last game, moving in towards this game specifically, you got to forget about all your woes of past, bring it in and prove exactly like you can build upon what would happen last split.
I'm just starting to see some of the vetoes come through. We won't have that graphic up for you until that is finalised, of course, because some of them are leaving the pool one by one. But I think it's fair game for us to just read out what we've got so far. So we've had a ban from Jokers removing Fracture. Next in Line went for Pearl. Then Icebox was banned by Jokers. Lotus has left as well. So we are heading more towards that Ascent Icebox territory. Again, if this were to go to Ascent, for example, I mean, looking already at the calling structure of what this team is going to be for Jokers, and by structure it's a very sloppy one, I imagine, with so many different ideas pinging off the walls. How do you see this one coming together?
I think there's plenty of capabilities within the roster, but then again, at the same time, as you were saying, is it too many cooks within the kitchen? You know what I mean? They're all trying to cook something up, and then they get a big sloppy mess.
Too many cooks spoil the broth, I think, is the saying. If we're getting rid of all of the Zoomer terminology and just removing that entirely.
Exactly. We are going to end up on split. So our first of Epic LAN and the new map pool.
I love that. I absolutely love that, and I can't emphasize it enough as we see the bans come through here, and I have to turn everyone's attention quickly to Joker's logo that they've gone with.
Fantastic.
It is a screenshot of Bully's face from the interview that I did with him before Beacon Div 1 finals. So nice to see that has been embraced. As I said before, this is a team of community figures. Jokers, I think, is the best way to put it. They all like to have a laugh and perhaps won't take themselves too seriously. So hopefully that delivers on the content front at least, and we'll have a few more than the 14 rounds that we were shown in that previous game.
Well, we all know about Split Hazard. We know what the kind of the history that it brings.
True.
We might get a little overtime. I don't know. Texas, our producer, is giving me evil eyes because he wants to keep on schedule. But don't mind it.
Oh, I mean, look, I certainly wouldn't, because think about it, right? We're here, we're covering the first 2 best of ones. If we could just extend it to almost a map's worth of additional rounds, then I would not turn my nose up at that whatsoever. But we will just have to see what happens. We should be going into game in a moment.
I was going to say, just like you were talking about Ascent with too many cooks and stuff like that, Split as well. It's basically, it can be kind of like that as well.
I'm really interested to see what comp they're going to bring out. I think more than anything else, because even if they've got multiple different people calling within game, there still has to be that sort of general understanding of how they want to try and approach it, how you want to play, that shared philosophy, or at least it's paramount that this is something that they focus on, because if you've got 2 people pulling in different directions, it's not going to work out for you. And I mean, we saw that reflected in the Swans' performance, I think it's fair to say as well. It didn't look too cohesive, but I can't imagine that this is a team where you allow something like that to happen to that scale, but it could still get a little bit messy. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what agents will be brought out here, if they've got something interesting to show us, perhaps some kind of a double controller comp coming through, maybe even a Harbour. What are you thinking?
I mean, I would like to see a double control. The Viper luck towards especially the A side of the map is extremely strong, but at the same time, I mean, double controller, do you forfeit the double initiator, especially with the power that Fade has with the likes of a Breach, etc. There's so many kind of conversations to have when we're talking about these agents.
I think you also have to be thinking about KO on this map as well, when we see how the meta has changed in terms of Sentinels, or if someone's playing double controller, a null command there can deliver a lot of value as we go into Split. And our suspicions can now be submitted, and we get our answers straight up in front of us. So actually, in fact, we do get a Harbour. It's going to be Rudy going for it on what isn't the Joker's side. That's the next in line side. The graphic is the opposite way around for the moment. But yeah, it will be double controller for Jokers. They look to be going for this Viper Harbour combo, which we've seen quite a few teams running recently in Lock-in.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, maybe not so much. It's just changed back to an Astra. But nonetheless, I mean, typical. Interestingly enough, though, Hazza, to talk about it, we are actually going to see a difference when it comes towards the Sentinel department, because there is double Sentinel on next in line, but there's only the single Killjoy. I mean, Killjoy's strong enough, but I think that for me, I guess this is my opinion, I feel as if Cypher's probably one of the strongest on Split.
I think Cypher is very strong on this map as well. You've got those cyber cages, which you can use to fake that A presence early on. You have the spy cam as well. There's even the setup from the defender side where you can put it so you see people through the glass. Quite a few in both of the heaven positions, male towards B and on A top ramp, where early on you can place a cam. And if you're just sat in it, that's lots of passive information to collect. Good for the vents as well. But yeah, coming into the pistol round, we've got a couple of different ideas. The main thing I want to see is how both of these teams look to challenge mid. With next in line having the Sage, it's very easy to just fall into that complacency where you want to put the wall down and forget about it. Laissez-faire, not my problem. But we'll just have to see, as it seems like Jokers will be the first one to really initiate in this area of the map.
Jokers already put that passive wall down on A, where they can just activate it and somewhat lock, although Pika already taking that little bit of passive information through the barrier orb being used as Bully tries to lock there. A lot of presence in mid as well, though, Hazza.
Yeah, I was just looking over the top, Bully trying to break the wall. It is this A flank like you spoke about, but the lurk has been cut short. Pika finds Bully early on, and now Jokers, a player down, want to try and react, taking some fast control here in towards heaven, looking for that first pick, but they trail away. Zico takes 3 of them down with him, and Stemp finishes up. Such a strong round from next in line, and they win the pistol.
Yeah, brilliant work there, Hazza. They were all funneled in, and the players just worked together. But the biggest fact, Zico just been able to shoot the players down. It was a firing line, or it may as well have been.
I don't know how Zico is able to get 3 players there.
No,
I have absolutely no idea. But you're seeing already some of the protocols that Jokers have. They lost out Bully on A. If next in line are to clear that and force a quick rotate, then your B execute becomes a lot more difficult. So I like that they decided to push in towards the hit, but yeah, the kills were not there. And we're going to be seeing the same again. Pika with this barrier orb towards the A side of the map, but as he will punish up top.
Yep, already the Viper's wall is up, but do they know about Rudy? It can work two ways here, Hazza, in terms of the space that's been forfeited almost as the wall goes down. The upgrade not quite grabbed just yet, and Zico there as well. That paint shells could be pretty efficient if it gets hit.
We're seeing a longer angle taken with the Vandal. Rudy just tucking into the corner, waiting for the contact with the judge up close. Smart for him to keep playing here. There was a moment where I thought he was going to fall off, but you have to be challenging this angle, and he will do so. Zico gets the first, Rudy follows up with the second. Spike now in there, controlling a Nebula to make entry that little bit more difficult.
The entry not quite taken just yet. We're down to 3 versus 4, and it's going to be continued U-tilt all the way down. Rudy just spams through the smoke and takes out Halsey. The last 2 remaining players are a little bit withdrawn from the action. A right click on towards where the Vandal is, but unfortunately it is going to be a catastrophic end.
That it is. A little bit more savoury of a round for Jokers there, actually, than the previous one that they had. Able to find 2 kills, which I think is fairly impressive when you consider the gravity of the situation as well, how pressed back they were. All of the next in line members present and with the utility to back it up. This time around, it is that Vandal saved through for Zico to continue on the tear of form that they've had in these early couple, but yeah, let's see if Jokers can pick up this against the bonus of next in line, because I mean in the previous game it was just the 1 round found from that, and an incredibly defenders-sided sweep to start us off.
Well, we are going to get the boom bot heading out to clear all these angles. Remember, you have to be in a little bit more of a forward position if you want to get it to clear out the positions you want to clear. Remember, reduced time as well. Yeah,
all the way down to 5 seconds now, so perhaps not the best investment of it. No real information gained there as Jokers come clattering through the male position. Stem caught with the aftershock out, trying to combine it with that gravity well, but the timing is just off. Jokers smash and grab, they take the space away from them. Denial of information towards this heaven position as well. And now looking to play off of Bully's early ground taken up outside of A.
Not only that though, they've taken away the breach, so when it comes towards the retake, and next in line might struggle a little bit more to get in towards the site. The stun's gone, the flashes as well, so breaking out in towards a post plant might be really, really tough.
As he's now playing a lurk through B heaven, you have this great toxic screen as well, which just denies any information towards A heaven, but Rudy's got an upgrade, and now has to be the green light for Jokers, needing to head in towards the site as both of the trips have been broken, or at least the only one that's going to be fronting them off at this point in time. Jaiko up close with the Stinger can still cause problems here, and Zico's already arrived to the party, swiftly moves through the Nebula and swiftly removes the head of Bully as the showstopper is now brought online. Knows at least one position, but Comet left unaware. Shoots him down. Now Jokers have an advantage, but Rudy slipped through the lines yet again. This porous attacking side of Jokers in the post plant. The spike is for them in heaven, however, and they can double up.
Oh, Rudy's got the kill. It's going to have to be massive from Inox here. The Sky needs to swing and needs to find the heads, but the head's found. Rudy, massive, massive play from them.
It's a huge round from Rudy. Struggled to find a roster that he can really gel into and call his own, but I can't see next in line wanting his name off of it anytime soon, because, I mean, what a start to this game that he has already managed to have. 4 kills for him, cleaning up that last one on towards Inox, and that's the bonus round now converted for next in line. The attacking side on Split, always notoriously difficult, and those woes for Jokers will not improve anytime soon, it seems.
Yeah, well, Hazza, the 2 games that we've casted, the bonus has been converted. The last time was pretty emphatic. This time needs to be so much better in terms of the response. The Cypher already pinging out where these players are as he dashes straight in. The Stinger, you know, is good at close range, but can Jaiko at least contest? No, because as he's just dropped out, created that pressure, and already the retake is all ready to go.
How's he just lurking a little bit deeper here in the corner? The paint shell should have him dead to rights, and he won't be able to vacate the scenario before falling to Zico. So now that's ramp control in the hands of next in line, and the response from Jokers looks to be to try and take some something back towards screens, but the poison orb has decayed just in time. There's no fuel left in the tank and no players left to defend this spike. A flawless retake from next in line will grant them their 4th.
As it again has we're in a situation where too many cooks. There was different ideas coming out there in terms of late trying to retake in towards heaven. The fact that we saw the KG looking outside of sight. I mean, next in line, they were so quick and ready on the retake. They were just waiting when to pull the trigger, and when they did pull the trigger, it was clinical.
Perhaps would have liked to have seen a little bit more support for Halsey in that position there. Yeah, they tried to react by going for that space towards screens, but if you looked at the spike plant as well, even if you were to rotate all the way through heaven, you'd have to loop the entire thing before it's in a position where you can actually defend it. So into the next round, finally a full investment from Jokers yet again, the second offering that they've given us in that regard. And it's a bit slower of approach. Still sticking with the same default. Bully looking to contest this early A, where we've seen that Sage Wall go up multiple times now, and it has been paying off for next in line because it has really slowed down anything the Jokers have tried to do.
Well, dash is procced, but there is a fault line being held, and Zeko just playing a bit passive. That one shot might just be enough to... Maybe not.
Oh, it's the timing. Yet again, you can see this util combo, which is prepared, cooked up in the male position, but every single time, the timing has just been off, and as he's found a way to get through it, that's a lovely setup from Jaco. Able to find 1 kill there, looking for a little bit extra underneath of heaven. Needs the support to come in from his teammates, but as soon as they arrive, they're cut out of the equation. This Cypher player on a desert island as Inox is able to get dropped from heaven. Rudy coming in to join, but will also hit the deck. So now it's a 2 versus 2, but Jokers need to find themselves a little bit of breathing room here inside the site.
I mean, realistically, next in lane, they're very split up, and they're going to have to try and at least come together, which will be heaven from what it seems as they start to clear it out. Pika solo. But these 2 players now, look at the players that are on Jokers now, they've split up. Remember, a 2 versus 1, there's only going to be one winner in that, and that is the 2, unless there's an immediate and amazing spray transfer as they continue to go through. Bully's ready and waiting as the players go by. There we go, we're into a 2 versus 1 situation. The KG left. How is their utility though? There doesn't seem to be any nano swarms. I tell you what though, how's he just nearly giving it away? As Jaco waits, the time gets low, they need to get the head or at least stick as they swing through. Is there enough time? I don't think so. Jokers did enough, but at the same time, they lost all their rifles.
That they did. At what cost, Cairo? At what cost? Everything invested to turn around, but they finally got it done, and I think that that will relieve a lot of pressure from these players on the attacking side. They've got so many ideas now about how next in line are going to be set up. I mean, I don't think they needed any more ideas, being comprised of so many in-game leader players, but the fact of the matter is they've been able to turn a result here. That camera peek from Jaco, so unlucky for Bullies, tucked into the corner, but yeah, they're going back to the same default, just trying to work this B a little bit more often and make sure that they're taking away some of that mid space, something I said would be so prominent from both of these teams, or at least very important on a lot of the rounds.
Yeah, I think that the setup was meant to be Halsey was meant to kind of be covering Bully from that position, but may have just lost a timing out there. Although this time, look, they're so much more ready for this heaven push as he gets pinged out, already stunned up, trying to escape. Oh, and here it is the clean up. Here comes Zeko. At least there's a trade from Halsey though.
As he trying to get a helicopter exit, but the landing pad has a coffin marked on it because he's dropped. And does get traded out, however. It was a bit of an overextension required to actually pick him up from that position because the utility in itself wouldn't have been enough if it weren't for the updrafts. Lockdown will be committed. Just have to see what the reposition is here on the next in line side. They've got the Cosmic Divide to try and re-hit the site. I don't know if Jaco wants to move towards backside, but has some util to get him there with the Cyber Cage safely. Joker's not quite doing enough to flush it out, and Inox will not expect this, or at least shouldn't. Jaco picks up 1, 2, looking for the 3rd, but can't quite get it onto Bully. A lot of damage dealt to expend for the site, and it is Bully and Halsey, yet again, the dynamic duo to see things out.
Big investment in this round, Hazza. Already 2 ultimates and a lot of economy put into this. 3 players now as they start to enter in towards the site. If they play as a duo, just trade things out. but the health will start to drop. Whoa! Bully tries to bring out utility and drops the pit. This is not good after getting dropped himself. Halsey once again has to come up trump, has to come up in a massive, massive situation. But Temp, just from rafters, does enough and gets the 5th.
So difficult for Halsey in that situation. Maybe a chance to play the trigger discipline, but even then you don't know Stemp's position, and it allows for him to come through and find that kill. Here's a replay. Yeah, Zico really had to stick their neck out to find that one, but Jaco yet again doing God's work and holding on to this B site for so much longer than they should possibly be allowed to. You saw the util combo towards the back site as well. Like, there's literally 5 pixels upon which he can perch those 2 feet, but still able to turn a result. So also looking at the comp here as well, you have to consider that next in line are very well set up for this defender's side, but 5-1 already, and Joker's reduced to yet another eco. Not the most ideal of situations.
It's not ideal, but at least they have the Blade Storm to at least do some damage. I mean, realistically, if there is a little bit of work done, if Azzy can give us that mechanical individualistic play, then maybe there's some upgrades that get filters through the team, but these are big if, buts and maybes. There's nothing concrete that we can build upon from the side of Jokers.
I think the concrete foundations that you have for Jokers is the default that they've played every single time. The progression now is that players are starting to join up with Bully towards this A side of the map, as we've seen the toxic screen go up here almost every single time. Halsey now aware of the trap wire, which is sat in vents. They are looking to try and split it, but Heaven Control is the main factor. Perhaps jumps the gun just a little bit as the trip does get broken, but they are away, and Pika's position is now compromised. Flying in is Azzy, trying to cut them down for the skies, uses all of his knives. Finally, the Classic gets involved and will take out the kill, but Pika is still alive, and the main problem in the site. 3 kills, looking to make it an ace even, will bring Rudy back up on their feet. Not even necessary, I don't think. The ace only 1 bullet away, and he gets it.
Overkill, Hazza. That res was overkill, and Pika was in overkill mode. Just kill after kill, player throwing at them, bodies strewn across the site. That's exactly what we saw, a brilliant play. We're talking about individualistic, kind of concrete things that we needed in this round. We had an opportunity, but that opportunity was fleeting.
Yes, that it was. The concrete foundation's not looking as strong. Perhaps we have a demolition expert on our hands. I think that Pika on Sage, you're expecting them to build more walls than they are break them down, but that's certainly how the previous round played out. This time around, Jokers looking to go for some of that mid-control yet again, but still no timeout from the boys. And I'm starting to wonder when we'll see that introduced, if we see that introduced. But going off of what Halsey was able to find on the previous round, they are just taking vent control here for free, which I think will give them a lot more liberties in how they want to split exec both of these sites.
I think as well that last round was a really big fact-finding mission for that east site in terms of how the setup is, because look at this, they've already broken the Sage wall. On top of that, they've also broke a lot of utility in general, so now when you look towards what next in line have in control, there's not a lot of it, and they have to actually check these angles and re-clear what has been happening.
Yeah, Jokers have settled themselves in mid nicely, nestled in the heart of the next in line defense. And we'll use the Seekers here to try and then direct wherever the execute is. The majority of them will be heading towards the A site, but instead this is actually where they're going to look to hit, playing off the back of it instead to highlight some of those positions, as Rudy's used a brilliant Nebula here to just cloak Pika inside the site, and they're chopping them down 1 by 1. Comet able to get at least a singular kill back, but Pika is still alive and kicking. 3 for him yet again, and next in line up 7-1.
A massive, massive read from next in line to have that Rolling Thunder ready for when the execute came through. The execute happened, and then the Rolling Thunder response. It was just realistically a clean-up job at that point. The sweepers came through, the bodies were swept to the side, and well, the 7th was collected.
And we're seeing a timeout come through. But for who, Kyrocast? It's next in line. We are not seeing Jokers call time on this one just yet to mull things over. They'll have the opportunity to do so, but it won't be coming at the cost of one of their own timeouts.
Yeah, it's interesting that next in line are the ones to call it. I don't know if they were maybe kind of got rattled by that last round in terms of what happened, but from what I've been seeing, there's nothing immediately that strikes me as a timeout or a timeout needed. There wasn't like it came down to a 1 versus 1 clutch for the past 3 rounds. It's been pretty. Unless it's like they're trying to let Jokers, I guess, how would you put it, like mould in their own mistakes. You know what I'm trying to say, but like
wallow in their own misery.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say. But like, I'm just a bit confused by that one.
Like I said, Lupetti Buffon aren't here this time around, but Jokers are their own form of jesters. Perhaps larger than life, I guess you could say. They're not the little jesters. They are very prominent both inside and outside of the server. But next in line don't look to have done too much different here, other than perhaps getting a little bit more aggressive in that mid area, but it won't count for anything. Jokers are heading straight in towards the site. Bully finds one through the screen. The Magician whips up one from behind the curtain, but other than that, it is a 3 versus 4, and that rotate has come through.
Well, how much magic can actually be spun up? Has it? Not much, apparently. Inox already been taken out. Pika, there we are. It just gets all shut out. An 8-1 half. Again, if you're someone who's supporting Jokers at home, who's watching the stream, Hazza, realistically, is it copium to say that it's split? Like, we don't need to worry that much because when they go onto the defender side, they'll be able to do the exact same things?
That is an interesting point to raise, but I think you still have certain checkboxes, certain litmus tests that you want to be lighting up, and right now they've not really hit the baseline that you would be looking for from your attacking side on split. It is really more of a basis on composition and what it is that they've actually got to bring to the table here that should dictate how well they're doing from this side. And I mean, having double controller will do you some favors on your defense. We just have to see how it works out because, I mean, you've got Sky on Initiator. The Seekers can be really strong in dictating how that attack works. I'm really not too sure where to place Jokers right now. The main factor for me is that they need to find this round. Otherwise, I'm starting to write this one off. Oh, God. Pika's already cut down one. Slow orb as well to make the next peak even worse. As he at least gets the trade, but there's still that advantage kept. And do you know what? It's 2 massive players gone. It's your flashes and your smokes. Joker's just looking a little timid on the entry to the site. Spots out Rudy towards the back of things. Demp with plenty of utility to send through a fault line and a flash point as he just looks the wrong way. Can't spot out Rudy and it'll come back to bite them. It's that man who's good for 2 from the backside yet again with 10 rounds played. Next in line have 90% of them. Just ridiculous scenes here to open us off. Jokers looking like a real shell of the players we know can be capable of turning a much better result. Hazza, I feel as if we're starting to get a little bit cussed here. We are. This is the second game in a row, mate. We looked at those games and I said, you know what? Into the first one, yes, Insight are favourites, but Swans can still give us half a chance. 13-1. Into this one, I maybe even tip Jokers to spin a performance here, but I have heavily underrated next in line, and it has come back to bite me because they have shown exactly what they're capable of here already, and I'm loving it. Nice little combo of utility there. Not quite hitting the mark, but if it did, it certainly would have been effective with the gravity well and the paint shells. Azzy getting aggressive once again. That's about the 3rd or 4th time we've seen that, but nothing paid out. The Viper wall changed from A, now on to B. That spike is far from being committed right now, so the only investment that Jokers have are their own bodies put on the line, but I'll tell you what, it is starting to pay off because those pistols are ringing out success for them. 4 versus 2, flip 4 versus 3 as Pika will invest the rares, and Zeko has just about got away with it unscathed. Not too much of a health pool for Jokers to work with here, but there are some ults that could be invested to make this a little bit more of a chore if you are that defender's side. Do you invest it in this situation? Apparently you do, but look at where the lockdown is. It's in a very aggressive position and the players are trying to peek out. Inox has went massive here, and it's just Zeko with 20 HP left. It's detained. Oh, wow. That's perfect. Oh, here it comes. The chefs have got their knives out and they are cooking at once. You need a cauldron to put the amount of vegetables and ingredients that they've got. But well, listen, there we have it. While the hob is hot,
and while we're seeing Jokers cooking, I want to throw in my little cooking bit, sprinkle a little bit of salt on it.
Let's see it.
One more round.
One more round.
And this narrative completely changes.
I suppose it does. You go to 9-3, and we actually had an article come out from Riot recently. I believe it was a 60% chance for the defenders to convert their 9-3 if they are able to find the bonus. So we'll have to see if that then plays into the court of Jokers, who have managed to bite back and get a response on the round you wouldn't tip them to win, and that will always inspire confidence.
Not only that though, Hazza, another thing that we have to talk about is the fact that there's been an op bot up. Pika does get on a bully, things do not get any better. The defender conditioning of just sitting on site has been completely broken. The aggressiveness has found a couple of kills. Halsey stuck in the middle of heaven, flashed and smoked out as well. Temp, well, it makes the pain even sorer, rubs salt into towards the wounds, gets another.
Takes it off of the cooking counter, and there we go. Azzy taken off of the board entirely by Stemp, finding 3 kills, 10-2, the half will end. No 9-3 curses and whatnot. Leave that babble for something else. Perhaps that cauldron is what will be cooking up the witchcraft almost to facilitate such a result, but it's not going to happen. Something I have to credit Next in Line on is the synergy that we've seen between the different working parts of this composition.
Yes.
Zeko, Rudy and Stemp all playing their part in controlling mid and then flexing over towards A or B or wherever it is, using the middle of the map as a pivot point to invest that utility. Nice use of the gravity wells with the fault lines, the paint shells. I don't think we've seen one time where it's sort of directly turned a kill, but the indirect impact it's had to displace what Jokers have been trying to do has been magnificent.
Astra as a solo controller, I mean, remember the Astra meta that we had? I mean, it's just so strong. The fact that you can initiate as well as control the map is just unbelievable.
I think you just have to be a little more careful with your investment of the utility, right? More than anything else, it's your cooldowns and then also the amount of stars that you have able to work with. Next in Line looking to go for the same execute that Jokers did. They've lost a player outside of A, so the reaction is B yet again. But this time, Jokers aren't going to be holding such an aggressive stance as we saw from Next in Line. Pika going for the backside plant, and we're seeing control taken towards Spawn. Nice flash through onto Halsey. Will be able to take one with him. And Jokers maintain their player advantage.
That's the big thing, maintaining that advantage. A tap onto the spike means that these players that are in towards CT need to make a response, need to do something. I don't think they've even got the chances. No. Zeko has to reload, gives up the chance. Pistol has been won. There is a lot of kind of milestones that we have to get to throughout this match.
That we do.
And that is a big one.
The exact same way that I said there's a certain baseline that you've got to be hitting on your attacker's side when you were Jokers just then. There are those check marks, those check boxes, those tests that need to be taken. Yeah. And the main one for me is going to be the bonus round. Keep this as clean as possible. If you're Jokers right now, we've seen they've invested just the 1 Vandal and 4 Spectres, but looking at this previous round, Next in Line came in with a nice idea, and I think they've had a lot of nice ideas, ones which have worked out well for them actually in previous, but that one not developed as much as it could have been. They took control and then didn't do anything with it. Azzy with the first blood yet again, however, and this is Zeko isolated towards Mail.
Well, Bully already just peeks out a little bit as we see the push in towards Heaven, but it's only Zeko moving up as he hasn't seen much happening, not much action there. But the players slowly might move in towards Ropes here, Hazza, in towards Vents, maybe heading towards Heaven.
I think so long as Next in Line don't hit 11 rounds sooner rather than later, if Jokers can win this one, pick up towards the bonus, then they'll just be taking it 1 round at a time. You've got double controller, you've got Sentinel, and you can see already how much that's pushed them back with the utility. And Azzy being on firing form also is going to make it a lot more difficult if he's able to keep picking up these first bloods so consistently. Now, speaking of that utility, the full setup is here, and Halsey is sat behind it very happily, taking a singular kill onto Jaco.
Thing is though, the bodies haven't been fully invested in towards site. Zeko is waiting. There is at least a headshot on towards Azzy. The trade is there, but the players are cut down. The rest remain in towards, well, I guess going back towards their spawn, Hazza, because that's 10-4.
There's Azzy finding the opener as well, and immediately look at the utility that comes off the back of it to support it, to deny that refrag towards the Jet player from Bully playing in Vent. We're already seeing Jokers have a lot more aggressive of a stance towards this mid control than anything that we saw from Next in Line. They were happy to concede all the way up to Vents because of the tripwire that they had placed, and then play solely through Mail instead. But it's been a lot more of a front foot stance that Jokers have looked to play here.
On top of that, Hazard, that last round, the fact that we saw so many rifles, so many buys. Azzy gets aggressive but gives up the rifle. The bonus realistically has to be bought, or has to be won for Jokers if they want to put themselves in a good position, but that position is realistically lost at this moment in time.
It may not be lost just yet, but it's certainly looking a lot more tentative. If Azzy's able to find one kill there, as he had the opportunity to do so, this round suddenly looks a whole lot different, and Comet is feeling way more safe tucked into the cubby than they had been.
Tucked in. The players waiting to see exactly how Next in Line move.
I like this. They're playing it a lot slower, right? Just biding their time. You've got Halsey with a full setup towards B, and I think Jokers are very happy to play like this right now. The guiding light will collect some information, but as time ticks on, more and more of the map around A is going to become compromised for them to defend. And Bully will be lucky to get one here. He's not going to. Neither will Inox, and yeah, we can wrap this one up.
Yeah, already Halsey's realised, look, this is lost. I'll at least get one odd point as they begin to, I was going to say, as they begin to rotate, if they even do, because they're still clearing out in towards the B site. So now we look towards the next round, because Halsey's going to take their time to move across to A before we even get a chance to talk about the engagements. What do Jokers do in the next round? Because realistically, this is going to be flawless.
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. I like the way that they've been playing mid. It has sort of been funneling Next in Line into going for either taking the mid control back, which then takes quite a bit as Halsey sprays away looking to try and find one, but he won't. Flawless is the result as we expected. And yeah, it's about, do Next in Line really want to try and play into mid, or are they going to go for these hard-hitting executes? That one really just does come down to the first blood. That's the opportunity that Jokers have to try and turn this round. Azzy dying throws the majority of that out the window. Will be on the blades this time around, has some credits in towards the next, maybe even playing for an op here. It'll be interesting to see if we get that involved, but nicely worked from Next in Line, and yeah, it seems as if they may just be going for that split with the Cypher and ignoring mid entirely.
I think as well, there was a little bit of testing there, a little bit of testing on what Jokers could get away with in terms of the presence outside of A. They might have thought there was only going to be one, but it was well read by Next in Line. And now looking towards the B site, this is looking like a very, very direct push.
Yeah, and I feel like Azzy is certainly expected at this point to be going for those early picks. And whether you expect him or don't expect him, the inevitability is that he will find that kill. The circumstances are a little bit different this time around, as the B execute was prepared, but Azzy equally prepared to take them out and does get the kill.
First kill found, first entry for Azzy on this. So, with that being said, as we now move through and Next in Line start to position himself in a situation where the Cypher's actually taken all the way up towards top ramp, and we actually do have to see Azzy clear this lovely trade from Halsey.
That's a good trade, but Inox has got caught out in mid, a little bit over of an extension there actually when you consider the pressure that Jokers were trying to create in ramp, and now they've left themselves a little bit more split. Bully in the corner, won't get cleared! And he clears them all out. 3 for him, and Jokers convert that buy round.
That's absolutely massive from Bully there, being in that corner, but it wasn't, he was given the opportunity. That's it. It's all been Next in Line. Their shortcomings of clearing corners have left them in that situation. Now it's all about this round here.
And that might just be a shot in the arm for Jokers, because the energy that a play like that can bring is paramount to what their success will be, because I think this is also a team that goes a lot off of momentum, a lot off of confidence, and from the defender's side it should be easier for them to create. Next in Line, still plenty of opportunities for them to see this one dispatched, but might not be in the fashion that they anticipated with the 10-2 half coming through.
Well, 11-5 the scoreline now, so at least a gap of 6 rounds between these two. There's at least a margin for error of 1 for the side of the Jokers.
I said about little over-aggressions in the previous round, but that was just completely unnecessary from Halsey to completely, just jump straight across screens and offer himself up.
Not only that though, like, why not just ask for a smoke or at least put a star down and retract it, because then there's that opportunity to get across. Oh no.
Yeah, next in line won't leave Jokers a single moment to dwell on what has just happened in front of them. Not managed to clear out Comet from the corner, did go stunned, but finally free now to make something happen, won't be able to convert it. Here is Inox towards spawn, so much utility to meet the same fate as Halsey. 3 versus 2, Op in the retake, difficult situation. Bully ideally wants another 3 here, but you have to worry about the lack of heaven control, which Jokers currently don't hold on to.
Yeah, Jokers don't hold on to heaven, and on top of that, the Sage is coming through from vents.
Slipped through.
Yeah, but the spike's planted for heaven. Bully's got 1 though. They need to get this engagement on towards heaven. That's the big one that they need to win out. The breach is just waiting there with open arms. It comes through, the stun's there, but Azzy, has to hide. The delay is just perfect. Pika can just wait for the taps, can just play it passively, patiently. That's all you need to do. The patience of a Saint has her, and it looks like Pika will win out this round. I was talking about a margin for error, and well, it's now got to be perfect.
It certainly does. 7 match points now separate the two teams. Jokers, in this one, it just starts off with that kill. It's a real blunder there from Halsey, and you hate to see it because in that situation, you start to wonder what that defense looks like if he's left up standing, if you have your Killjoy utility to hold on to the choke. And next in line are yet again going to sprinkle salt to the wound by calling an additional timeout. Another situation where Jokers will be quite happy to get this timeout as well, because there are plenty of things that can be discussed about the previous round, some outlying mistakes to mull over. In terms of what the attackers did there as well, I can't really put it down to too much. It's just finding your engagements isolated, moving in towards the site, and maintaining that coordination they had on their defender's side with the utility.
Well, I think utility was a massive part of that, but I think as well they were taking what was given to them. It was like when you come in from school and your mum's like, oh, I've got you like some chicken tempura or something like that. You're like, oh, do you know, I'll just eat that up. And they were eating nice because, the freebie from Inox opens everything up.
Yeah, that it does. And another thing to note there as well is you look at all of the previous rounds and the precedent set by Jokers that there would be aggression from Azzy, and then he buys into an operator and there is no aggression. It was a passive setup. They were waiting for the angle held on B to be walked into, or perhaps someone to approach A, and yeah, things just fell apart. But like I said, 7 match points now between the teams. That means everything has to be put on the line. Whether it's this round or a later round, we'll have to see. But you can only take it one at a time. Bully with the Vipers. Pit, Inox inside the Nebula. Just backs away. Clouds his own vision and isn't able to take a kill. A huge pickup early on for for next in line. And Bully doesn't know what to do. Moves away from the Viper's pit and it's going to drop. Lost control of it because he was too worried about vents, and now they're going to run into his crosshairs. But the judge is here. Nye is the jury or executioner, however.
Well, the players now moving out from heaven. They're just awaiting the aggression. They are coming in towards that position, but the players decide to retake in towards the site. It's now all up towards Azzy. The players somewhat low, but so is Azzy themselves. Zeko finds that head, and there we go.
Next in line, a cautionary of this as well. Knew of the position, cleared it out systematically. And I think that's the best way to describe their approach towards this game. Even though they had an incredibly strong lead, and it can sometimes be easy to just tilt the head and worry a little bit that it could be slipping out of your grasp. They've kept a straight face on the entire way through, and now Comet has a ridiculous 1 versus 3 to try and pull off. This one would be written in scripture if it is to be done. Epic Land folklore. To crown off the 10 years of Kettering was something that goes beyond even the experience that they possess. 13-5, next in line, take it against Jokers.
Yeah, next in line again, it's just a general control that they had across the map. It was similar to that of last game where we watched Insight. They just were on that another level, on that other gear, and they just did the business that they needed to do.
That they did. Pika 20-9 in the end. And leading the way, at least for the defenders, with 4 first bloods, because, or at least for next in line, I should say. Easy to call them the defenders when they had such a one-sided half. And sometimes it felt like we only really got that look at them, because I liked some of the bits and pieces that we saw from Jokers when they had their defenders half. I think looking in towards the veto here, when you get an opportunity to play defenders or attackers in the best of one, now it splits back in the pool. It's really something that you got to rack your brain about, because say it was a Haven, you would love to be on the attack if you get off to a good start, whereas on this map it's a completely different story. And even then, Azzy, 8 first bloods from the attack and the defense, always involved early on, but it was sort of those late stages to the round, I think, when things were a little bit more convoluted for Jokers. Yeah,
and on top of that, I mean, the thing that I'm interested is on stream we have yet to see an Ascent. Yes, it's the first 2 games, but these are best of ones. Why would you risk it on a map like Split?
I think what I got to tell you is, Cairo, you're finally free. This isn't NA Collegiate anymore, so we're not getting Ascent every single game, right? This isn't NA. We're in EMEA. We're here for Beacon, so we're getting something a little more refined, you know, the taste.
Yeah, I understand that. My palate is slowly starting to open up, but the point still stands. And the fact that what maps are you going to have more chance of coming back on? What maps have you got a bigger margin for error? You'd see Ascent, maybe Peril, other maps like those where you have a pretty even across the board bias in terms of win rate.
I think it's still fairly even. It really does depend on what comp you're bringing, and one of the downsides for Jokers on their attacking side there with double controller is they weren't able to fully utilize having both of them in the comp. I think it's fair to say a lot of the value that you would have been getting was from Bully having that toxic screen up across A, being able to fake a lot of presence and then play off the back of that. And I think a lot of the time we saw next in line able to replicate that kind of play style, but with more success through Jaco's use of the cyber cages and just sort of maintaining that pressure, maintaining that control. And in many ways, I think that Split plays similarly to Lotus in that regard, because from your attack, you do just have to maintain that presence as much as possible, because it's more defender-sided. Like Lotus, I would say, is probably more defender-sided. So just restricting the view that the defending team has on what your attacking options are before you finally commit is very pivotal. When it swapped over, it was easier for them, because then both of those controllers enact into how they want to defend things. We just didn't get the biggest look of it because of how the first half panned out.
Well, at the same time though, Hazza, again, this is a new Beacon Split. This is a new year of Valorant. The landscape that we're seeing is slowly being refined. And we're starting to see how the pecking order is amongst all the teams, or the pecking order amongst all the teams at EPIC, because there's still more who aren't here yet that we could have our eyes on. So, I mean, great first 2 openings, but me and you are now going on to a little bit of a break.
That we are. We'll have Rook and Winter coming on the cast for you guys. Before then, we will be heading to a break, but when we return, we have a few more best of ones, and then as we turn into the after hours, the later evening, there are a few best of 3s to sink your teeth into. So plenty of games still coming here for you all at EPIC38. Beacon Valorant. Make sure to stay tuned. We'll be back after a break.